This video is now in session, and the 2024 Republican nomination has gotten some new light with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, he originally publicly expressed interest in running for the nomination, but at this point, it seems like he's almost definitely going to run in 2024 in a rematch against Joe Biden in the 2024 general election. And the reason why we know this is because a bunch of operatives are saying that Donald Trump is expected to announce his candidacy very soon, and you have people like Jim Jordan confirming it, and the fact that Donald Trump is going to Iowa just further cements the fact that he'll most likely run for the 2024 Republican nomination. So for Donald Trump, now would be most likely the best time to announce a candidacy. Right now, Joe Biden is still dealing with still grappling with a lot of crises and issues like Hurricane Ida and its effects, and then you have COVID-19. The $3.5 trillion budget is faltering right now. It could all of these things could rebound for Biden, but at this current moment, those issues compound his presidency, and that is in addition to the blunders that Joe Biden made in Afghanistan. So you have a bunch of problems that Biden is facing, and his approval numbers are at an all-time low. At this point, his disapproval rating is higher than his approval rating. So this would seem like a good time for Donald Trump to enter into the race because he's entering at Joe Biden's weakest point yet in his presidency. If Donald Trump waits for saying that he is going to run in 2024, then he is given additional power. He's given increase in power to other candidates that are trying to be president in 2024. And he's also has to consider that his influence by the month when it keeps waning. His influence goes down and down and down because he is not in a position of power anymore, and because Republicans have essentially found a way to energize Trump's base without actively sucking up to Trump. So with that, Donald Trump, the best time is now. So if Donald Trump does in fact run for the 2024 nomination, who would win the nomination? Donald Trump. And that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. No, Donald Trump is definitely going to win. There is some truth though to Donald Trump definitely winning the 2024 nomination. The thing is, even though Donald Trump's influence is waning, it's still relatively large compared to other Republican presidents. George H.W. Bush, his influence near zero by the time he came out of the presidency. George W. Bush, same thing. So for Donald Trump, it's relatively modern for the Republican Party to have a president who goes out of office but still holds a lot of power in the party. So, because of that, his influence is still big enough for him to win in 2024 and still able to win by large margins. You can see here in this Emerson College poll, Donald Trump leads by 67%. You can see here that Donald Trump in this YouGov poll leads by 58%. And that just goes to show that he still has the support of the bulk of the Republican Party. Now, there are some other candidates, and if Donald Trump somehow declines to run, which is definitely not happening, there are around 5 other candidates who could replace Donald Trump. So the most obvious choice is Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida, and the reason why he's so high up in the polls is because of his COVID-19 response. He preached freedom in his response plan, stating that there will be a ban on mask mandates and a ban on COVID restrictions. And even though there was a recent spike in Florida, a lot of Republicans don't care about that. So Ron DeSantis is still holding up. The only way he can tumble is if he loses in 2022 in the Florida gubernatorial election, either against either against someone like either against someone like Charlie Crist or Nikki Fried. But otherwise, if he survives that 2022 race, which at this point it seems likely that he would, then he would have a pretty open path to the nomination. You also have Mike Pence. Mike Pence is surprisingly doing well in the polling. You can see here that currently he places second out of all of the candidates, and that's pretty surprising given the fact that Pence defied Trump in the January 6th insurrection by certifying the results of the 2020 election. And that angered a lot of Trump Republicans, but the reason why he does have a lot of support is because he is building a campaign. He is building support among evangelical voters, and even though Trump is a pretty big factor when it comes to the Republican nomination, Pence recognizes that for evangelical voters, they can most likely relate to Mike Pence out of any of these candidates because he is an evangelical, and if you look at all the other candidates, they're more of the cookie cutter politicians that are similar to previous Republican generations. So for Pence, he's doing pretty well. Now, will he win the Republican nomination? No, because Ron DeSantis at this point is very large in his presence, and even though Pence grew in this polling against Ron DeSantis and a bunch of other candidates, he is still recovering from January 6th. If he did not defy Trump, which we don't see a way he couldn't defy Trump since he had no choice but to certify the 2020 election. Ultimately, Pence would still be in the lead. He would be above Ron DeSantis, but because of that event, Ron DeSantis is now above Mike Pence. You have a bunch of other candidates as well, though. You have Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, Ted Cruz, who is looking for a rematch against Donald Trump, a potential rematch against Donald Trump in 2024, and then you have a dark horse candidate, which is Tim Scott. So Tim Scott, he declined to run for the 2024 Republican nomination, but it's too early to say whether he will not run in 2024. And the reason why we list him as a dark horse candidate is because he's doing a lot of behind the scenes campaigning with Republican operatives, and he's going both for the Trump voters and as well as for the anti-Trump voters. And the reason why he's able to get both of those coalitions together is because he's pretty uncontroversial. He doesn't dabble too much with what Trump says. He does suck up to Trump, but in some ways he doesn't do it. He doesn't go overboard with that. With doing that compared to other people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Ron DeSantis. And then meanwhile, you have anti-Trump voters who could most likely resonate with Tim Scott because of his story, because because his family came from a cotton farm, because he was able to start from the bottom and end out as a U.S. senator. So he's the dark horse candidate. He's proven that he's very effective when it comes to lobbying and as well as getting the money he needs for a potential election campaign. So those are the major candidates when it comes to the 2024 Republican nomination. If we were to peg these 6 candidates from 1 to 6 in terms of their chance of winning, Donald Trump would be first, almost obviously, and then Ron DeSantis would be second, and then we would peg either Ted Cruz or Mike Pence as third and fourth, and then Tim Scott fifth, and then finally you have Nikki Haley, who we would peg as sixth. But for all of these candidates, they're all pretty good candidates with the exception of Donald Trump, primarily because Donald Trump has already lost an election, and usually when you lose an election as big as the presidential election, you don't win the next election. There have been exceptions to this, with one being Grover Cleveland, but Grover Cleveland was about a century ago. So that's something to note. And that is the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.